Okay. So Anne, we're ready for you. So Anne is going to be talking about being grateful for hearing advances. It's just amazing. Some of the advances that we've had in hearing aids, and she has a phenomenal program for you today. So let me pull up your.
Thank you. So she's going to pull up my presentation while we're waiting. Does anybody still need a loop? Rick has still some loops, so everybody can hear me clearly. Anybody not hearing me well? We're okay? Good. You're in the right spot. Or they're not raising their hand. Okay. I think you go into the bottom corner. There you go. That's the one. Got to turn it on. There we go. We're good. Thank you, Tony. Okay, I'm going to move this out of my way so that you can see. Okay. Thankful for hearing technology. I love Charlie Brown and Snoopy because they just get back to the basics, right? I mean, when you're talking about friends, helping friends, you think that they're always there to help you, and I just have always been a fan of Charlie Brown and Snoopy. I am going to start off with a very, very basic anatomy class. We go through this almost every single meeting, but it's because for those newcomers, we want you to appreciate how complex the ear and hearing system really are. I'm going to get this so this is out of my... Is this in your way? Okay. So when we look here, the right ear, the pin on the outside goes down to the ear canal. This translucent thing right here is your eardrum. So think of the sound waves are traveling through the ear. They go down that little canal and they hit the eardrum. The three little bones start vibrating, and then at the end of the three little bones, there is something that looks like a horseshoe. Oh, it does? Aha. So right here, there is a horseshoe-shaped bone called the stirrup or the stapes. And when the three bones are vibrating, that system moves back and forth like a lever. So it's taking that sound wave that came down the ear canal, hit the three bones, and now it's vibrating back and forth, and it's actually sending an electrical signal here in the inner ear that causes the little hair cells to get vibrated and stimulated, and then that sends an electrical current up the auditory nerve to the brain. So the sound coming in your right ear comes across this system and goes from the right ear to the left side of your brain. On your left ear, the sound comes through the system, goes through, hits the auditory nerve, and comes over to the right side of the brain. So there's a crossing at the brain stem. But what is so amazing is that in real time, the two sides are talking back and forth to each other and telling you what's happening. It's an amazing system. It's extremely complex. This little organ right here called the inner ear is where the majority of you have your hearing issues. So that organ is the size of a pea. So if you take your fingertip and you put your thumbnail right at the first joint of your fingertip, that's about the size of your inner ear. That organ is doing all the work. So one of the things that's very important for that organ, because it's so small in size, is blood flow, right? So the blood flowing in and out of your organ is crucial. And as we get older, our blood does not flow as well, which is why we have the phenomena called presbycusis, which is just hearing loss due to aging. Okay? So the reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to understand that all the devices that I'm going to talk about today are all trying to help this inner ear, for the most part, do a better job. Because the inner ear is not picking up the sound the way it did when you were younger, the message that is going up to the brain is not as complete. So the more hearing loss that you have here, it could be anywhere, the hearing loss you have anywhere in the system, but the majority of the hearing loss happening in the inner ears is causing an incomplete system, an incomplete signal to come up to the brain. And now your brain is trying to do more work with less input. And that is what causes the problem. So this is just the general overview of how hearing works. Everybody familiar with that from all of our meetings? Yeah? Okay. So this is just a reminder that the hearing is complex, but that there is a very particular part in our brain that is responsible for hearing, comprehending, and understanding. So I'm not going to go more into detail, but I do want you to know that there is really a place in the brain where those hearing nerves end. And when you don't get the stimulus into your brain as completely as we should, studies are showing that that part of the brain starts to diminish. You don't have as much stimulation for blood flow or for information, that area starts to become less active. The question is, what is the name of that area? It's Herschel's gyrus is a portion of it. There's 3 different sections, but I can tell you later, okay? But you can say the primary auditory cortex is the overall. So many things change the way the message, the way the brain receives a message. And this is just recapping what I said, that the input is incomplete. And so the brain has to work harder to understand the message. And when you're hearing in background noise, it takes a whole lot more effort, right? So think about it. If you are trying to do something and you don't have the same amount of tools in your toolbox as somebody else, it's going to be harder to accomplish that job. Wouldn't you agree? Okay. So that's what happens when we don't have the full signal coming into our brain. We are asking our brain to do the work of somebody with normal hearing, but we don't have the same skills or the same input. So one of the things I want you to know is that the quality of hearing aids matter. And the reason that the quality of your hearing aids matter is because we are trying, again, to give the brain the cleanest, clearest signal to process. Other things that you want, and I'm going to talk about that more during this whole presentation, but other things that you want to make sure that your hearing aids have is that you want to make sure that they have a T-coil. Tony's already talked about that. We're going to talk today about Bluetooth connectivity. Today's hearing aids, Bluetooth connectivity is a standard feature. You're not paying more to have your hearing aids connect to your iPhone. It's kind of like back in the day when we used to have cruise control, and you used to pay extra to have that feature on your car. And even though you didn't use it very often, when you did need it, it was very helpful. The same thing is with Bluetooth. Even the lowest level of technology has Bluetooth being standard in it. And so don't get taken that you're going to pay extra because it has Bluetooth. The other thing that I want you to kind of be aware of is don't think you have to pay extra for a smaller size or a bigger size. The size of the hearing aid does not matter. It's the chip inside the hearing aid that is dictating the price. Okay? So direct connection to iPhones is a bonus. That is a benefit of having Bluetooth connectivity into your from your hearing aids to your phone. And the reason that the iPhone is a bonus is because the iPhones have just one operating system, the Apple operating system. How many people in here, excuse me, have an iPhone? Okay. How many have Android? How many don't have a smartphone? We have a couple. Do you have a flip phone? Yep. Okay. If your flip phone has Bluetooth connectivity in it, you can still connect to your hearing aids. So even if you get hearing aids that have Bluetooth in them and you still have a flip phone, there is a device, and we're going to talk about it today, that you can use to connect your hearing aids to your phone. So you don't have to have a smartphone. You just need to have a phone that has Bluetooth. The other thing I have on here is rechargeable hearing aids help with dexterity issues. So now more and more hearing aids are coming in with rechargeable batteries. I know many of you have been using rechargeable for a while. Who here is using rechargeable batteries? Okay, a few of you. Has anybody tried? So there's some that are totally rechargeable. You put them in a charger and you can't take out the battery. How many have that system? Okay. There's a second one that's a hybrid, and you can put in a rechargeable battery, but you can also put in a regular battery, and that's by Z-Power. How many people have that system? There's a few of you. Okay. And then there's the regular zinc battery. I know that many of you come to the meeting every month, but for those of you that are new, if you have a zinc battery, when you pull the tab of paper off of the battery, you should let it sit for 1 to 2 minutes to fill up with air. Did everybody know that? The reason that you want to do that is your batteries now say that they are mercury free. It means that you can throw them in the garbage because there's no more mercury in the battery. But because they're mercury free, it takes about a minute for the battery to fill up with air to activate all the zinc. So when patients come into my office and say, Ann, my batteries are only lasting me 3 to 5 days instead of 5 to 7 or 7 to 10, I'm going to say you probably didn't let your battery sit because you're only using the top layer of the battery. Okay? If you let it sit for the full minute, it will activate, and think of it kind of like an Alka-Seltzer, right? The more you let the Alka-Seltzer sit, you get the full benefit of it. But if you just poured it in the glass and drank it right away, you wouldn't get the full benefit. So when you pull the tab off your batteries, let them sit for a minute and you'll get a little bit longer battery life. Even that is an advancement that we need to be thankful for. And the reason is that the batteries now, for the little computer chip that's in these hearing aids, are doing an amazing job for what they have to do. So we should be thankful for batteries. And then something else is that smaller size helps with fits and looks, right? So the hearing aids that we can be thankful for now are getting smaller and smaller in size. And because they're getting smaller in size, they're not as noticeable. I had one patient come and we were able to change her from the kind with the big thick tubing to the little skinny wire. And I said, now your ears don't show up before you do, right? What do I mean by that? That people would judge her before she even walked into the room because they saw the hearing aids. Now they don't see the hearing aids, and now she feels much more comfortable in the room. Okay, improved signal changes your life. You have more time to process and understand the message. More energy, not as much effort is needed. less stress on the body and neck, improved memory, and improved localization and balance. Boy, that all sounds good, doesn't it? Who wouldn't like all that? Okay. So the way to get that is by improving the signal to noise. And when I say signal to noise, how many people know what I'm talking about? Okay, a few of you. So right now, I am talking, and I am giving you a signal, okay? It's nice and loud. But if I start talking, and I start doing this, okay, I made some noise. So now the signal was not as clear because the noise came into play, okay? So that's what I mean by signal to noise. So right now, the signal is at about 65 decibels, and the noise is about 0, right? So we have a 65 decibel signal to noise ratio. Does that make sense? Is everybody with me? Yes? Raise your hands. You're with me? Understand that, okay? Now, if I am talking still at 65, but I start doing this with my feet, I have probably about 25 or 30 decibels of noise. So I take my 65 minus, I'll say 30, and now I have a 35 decibel signal to noise. Do you see where I'm getting that? Okay? So if I am speaking and I'm really loud, like in a restaurant, and there's a lot of background noise, now my signal to noise ratio went down to probably about 5. Okay? So the signal to noise ratio is dependent on how loud the signal is versus how loud the background noise is. Does that make sense to everybody? Because moving forward, this is what we're going to talk about. So if you don't understand this concept, I want you to kind of raise your hand so we can let you know. Everybody's got it? So what happens is when we get into the restaurants today, where there's a lot of background noise, right? Our restaurants are made with hollow floor or hollow ceilings and no carpeting and very rigid chairs. There's nothing to absorb the sound. So what actually happens is that when you start to get into background noise in a restaurant and the speech starts to get about 70 decibels, we actually start talking softer. So now we start to have a negative signal to noise ratio. So instead of the speech being louder than the noise, now the noise starts to become louder than the speech. And that's where we really run into trouble, right? Especially, I've just heard King's. I heard that King's just remodeled and that the signal to noise ratio there right now is really bad. Okay. So this is a video I am going to play. Tony, how do I get the bottom?
Hearing was a true deficit. We would have to make sure she was looking at us, reading our lips, speaking very loudly to her. Now she doesn't even have to face us. She can be in the other room, she can hear. I feel confident about her, and the rest of her life is just more impactful. Well, just last week we had the family over, meaning 3 great-grandchildren, 4 grandchildren, and they said, "Oh, Grandma can hear us now," because she would, engage in the conversation and had something to say. So that was wonderful.
Okay, so that was supposed to be just a testimony. This is probably pretty loud now.
Anna is able to caption all of that.
Okay, perfect. This is really loud though now, Tony. You need to turn it down. It's too loud. So I'm going to keep talking here, and is that more comfortable there? Is that comfortable? Okay, thank you. So basically, that was just a testimony to say that changing your technology can change your life. So here is a woman who came in brought her mom. She had been wearing hearing aids, but the hearing aids were just not fit for her, giving her brain the complete stimulation that she needed. when we do a hearing test, we can actually give you a pretty good indication of how you're going to do in background noise. So as we have talked about at almost all of the meetings, make sure that your audiologist or hearing aid provider does what's called a quick SIN, S-I-N, which stands for sentences and noise, that they do some kind of testing in background noise to assess how you're going to do. Anybody can hear well in quiet. And when you're hearing in quiet and you're doing words in quiet and you're pushing the button and just hearing little beeps, that has no indication of how you're actually going to do with the devices. So your brain has to be pushed or taxed. It has to take it to a higher level of functioning to see how you're really going to do with technology. Just like when you go to the heart doctor, he listens to your heart at quiet, but then they do a stress test to see how you're going to do when I put some stress on you. When you hear in background noise, that's putting stress on the hearing system to see how well the brain can filter the sound. And yes, that can be tested. So this is someone who is going to talk to us about her iPhone and connecting directly to the iPhone. How many people have that ability to do that right now? Oh, quite a few of you. Good. So we could get some testimonies right from the room. But what we're going to do is try this one, and then we're going to talk about it.
I love my iPhone because it's so easy. It just rings in the ear, and then I just answer it, and it's just fine. It's very clear. You hear much more clearly and much better. It's just a great addition to that. I love it. And then also, if I want my husband to hear, I just put it on speaker, and you know when it's on speaker, I can still hear it perfectly, and he can also hear it too. I love the phone system with it. It's just wonderful, and I also like that if for some reason, like I get wax in my ears and I need to turn one up a little bit, I can push the button into the volume a little bit, and I've just learned to be much more technology, which it's just wonderful. It's a blessing to come here. It's a blessing with this technology, and it's just to be fitted so perfectly, because I have one ear canal that's half the size of the other one, and this is the first time I've ever been able to have hearing aids that don't hurt my ears.
Okay. And turn that down. So what do we mean by direct to iPhone or direct direct to your cell phone? What that means is that when you get a phone call, if you have an Apple phone, if you have an Apple phone, the phone call goes directly into the hearing aids. So now when you talk, you only talk into the bottom of the phone. But you're hearing the phone message into both ears at the same time. So the advantage of that is it's like being on speakerphone, but nobody else hears the message but you. So nobody else hears that call but you. But you have actually more of an advantage than a normal listener. Why would that be? For those people who have the iPhone or using your phone with a Connect clip or something else, why do you have a better advantage than somebody with normal hearing when it comes to taking a phone call? What does that do? How do you cut out the outside noise? Okay, so a couple of my patients who have this, you better answer this question. How do we cut out the background noise when we're on a call?
Let me give you the mic. Hold
There's
on.
the answer right there.
Okay, so
We can use the app to mute the aids, and it makes hearing the phone call in background noise better than a normal listener. Okay? For once, you get to do something better than somebody with normal hearing. That's a big ha-ha. Doug wants to talk in the back. The reason that happens is because if I'm a normal listener and I am talking on the phone, I have the phone up to my ear on one ear, and I have my finger in the ear in the other. I'm trying to block out the background noise so I can hear on the phone. When you have the direct input, you get to go right onto your app and you push one of the buttons and it turns these outside microphones off. It mutes them. So then you can hear the phone call directly into your ears. If you have an iPad and you fly, you can hear movies or books on tape or whatever you want to listen to right into your ears. If you go to the gym and you don't want to hear the outside sound, but you want to listen to something from your iPhone or your iPad, you can do it directly into the hearing aids. Doug?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that if you're holding a phone up to one ear, you can only hear it through one ear. The app, it puts it into both ears.
So what he's saying is that by having the phone call direct, you're hearing it into both ears, where normally as a normal listener, you're only hearing it in one ear, or if it's on speaker, everybody else is hearing the conversation. We're waiting for...
Testing 1, 2, 3. Is this a little bit better?
Yeah.
On the $259 AirPod Pro, they have an input mic and an output mic. So the cancellation means you hear perfectly, and the air conditioner you never hear.
You're talking about some kind of an input-output mic with a signal-to-noise. What would you use that mic for?
So you can filter out anything other than like noise that's not in the original signal. So you don't hear air conditioning, you don't hear anything except the signal itself on the AirPod Pro.
Okay, I'm not really hearing you. The mic might not be on, but is that a device that can connect to any hearing aid?
Yeah, it's an AirPod Pro they just introduced a week ago.
Oh, the AirPod Pro. Okay, so he's talking about the AirPod Pro, those things that look like little Q-tips coming out of your ears. Yeah?
An input mic and an output mic.
Yeah, it's got an input and output mic. That's for people who don't wear hearing aids. So on all the new smartphones, you're going to get an app that connects your hearing aids, and you get to visually see what you're doing to your hearing aids. So that's another thing to be thankful for, is that whatever you're hearing in your ears, you get to see on your phone. Whatever you do on your phone for the app, you get to hear in your ears. Okay, so many of you have used an extra microphone pickup to improve that speech and noise ratio. So helps you hear in noisy restaurants. How many people here use the Resound mini mic, the Oticon remote mic, the Widex remote mic? How many people are familiar with using remote mics? No, not really? Yeah, we got a few back there. Okay. So the advantage of the remote mic is that this microphone, and they're going to look different from different manufacturers. This one is from Signia. It looks very similar for the Oticon. Resound has one that's very similar to this. They also have a mini mic that you can lay on the table. But basically, what you're doing is you're taking this microphone and you're putting it on somebody that you want to hear. Okay? Can I use you two as an example? Judy? Okay, so we have Judy and Dwayne here, and Judy they have a Connect clip. Yes? And what they do is she wears it, and Dwayne has visual issues, and he then can hear what she's saying even though she's not right next to him. So this microphone on whoever wears it can improve the signal over the background noise. So if you're in a noisy restaurant and you're at King's having lunch, if you put the microphone on your partner and you talk, You can go back into your app. You can mute your microphone, and you will only hear the person talking to you across the table. Yes, it's only made for one-on-one or for a small group. It's not made to hear everybody at the Thanksgiving table. Yet, the advantage to that system is that you can have a very good conversation with one or two people in a situation that's normally helpless, right? So it goes back to trying to decide, do I care if I show the microphone to one or two people that hopefully love me and want me to do my best, and it might feel like a little bit of an inconvenience for them to wear it, versus me just sitting like a bump on a log because everybody's talking and laughing and I didn't get anything, right? So I want you to know this technology is really life-changing when you know how to use it well. Good question. Her question was, is if you have two people, could you have two mics? And the answer at this point is no. You would have to pass the microphone to different people, right? So you'd pass the microphone rather than having multiple mics. Now, I have somebody who just used it with his grandson and his bar mitzvah, and as I guess you read some passages, and they passed it along the table of 25 people, and he sat there with tears in his eyes because he could hear everything that was being said all around the table, and he could have never have done that before. Sir?
What's the range of that?
Good question. His question is, what's the range of the microphone? It's made to be about 6 to 8 feet. It can go further, but it's made for communication. Do some wives use it and walk into the kitchen and then the husband is hearing every single thing they're saying? Yes, that happens. I've had somebody who I was with wearing the Connect clip, and they were outside, and I went into the restroom, and I came back, and they said, "Oh, okay, well, I just heard everything that you did." I was like, "Oh, sorry about that." So the range can go further. That's what my point was. Daniel?
I have also used it when I went to classes, like an iPhone class, and I put it on the speaker and I could hear him much clearer. Also, when I went to a program, I put it on the speaker so I could hear the speaker clearly, always reminding them that I could hear everything they said.
Exactly, even under their breath. Thank you. So one of the things you can do with that, and Tony Dwayne up here wants to make a comment, one of the things you can do with this mic is if you go to church or your synagogue and you don't have a T-coil yet, you can, and I take it back, the Connect clip I think is 50 feet. Now that I take it back, the Resound mini mic I think is 8 feet. They do have one that's longer, but I think it's 50 feet because I have patients who will give it to their pastor and they will wear it and they can hear the whole sermon. And that would be something that you might want to do as far as preempting people to get into the T-coil. Because the way you hear from the Connect clip right into your hearing aid is the same as what a T-coil should sound like to you. Dwayne?
Okay. When I went to the Braille institution for the learning to use the Braille, and in the classroom, it's very hard time for me to hear my instructor or volunteer. And I was kind of disappointed and very difficult until you told me about the microphone. And so I tried. Boy, that would really help a lot. So it's from instruction I can hear. I'm not worried about background. So that helped me a lot.
That's wonderful. And we have another couple here that are also going to talk that a little bit about that. But we have Elkin here, and he is here today, but he uses his Connect clip in a different way. So what he's going to do is he uses his computer, his Connect clip to connect into his computer and then not bothering his wife. and she is a sweetheart. So, but he was kind enough to let my husband come and video him, and I'm going to kind of talk through what we're doing. But you can see this guy is intelligent, right? Anybody with 4 computer screens at one time on their desk? Oh, my lordy. Yeah. So let's go here, and let's see if I can get the next screen. So the microphone, let's go here. So let's play this. And this, we're not doing voice on this one. I'm just going to talk through it. So what he's doing is, the voice on this did not turn out very well, so I'm kind of walking through. But what he's basically telling us is that this is a picture of the Connect clip, and what he is going to do is he is going to pair it to his computer. And by pairing it to his computer, he now can hear. He's got the hearing aids on the back of his ears, and he is now able to watch videos right into his ears. The sound is off, so his wife does not have to listen to the sound, and he can watch movies while she reads a book or goes to bed. And he's going to show you here how easy it is to pair. He's just going to go into his screen under Bluetooth devices. He's going to select the Connect clip, and then it's going to pair. Hold on one second. He puts there's a little dongle that he has to put into his computer, and by putting the dongle into the computer, that is the connection between the Connect clip and his computer. And he is pairing it right here. So he's showing you, you put the 2 pieces together, you pair it, and then you're good to go. He's got his hearing aids on, and he's able to hear the message right into his ears. That is something to be thankful for with technology. Now you have such a clearer sound coming directly into your ears, as well as not being able to bother other people. But the biggest thing is the sound clarity. It is such a difference in what it can do. And I think we have a couple questions in the back. So before we do that, I want to thank Elkin, who's right here with the white cap on, and his wife. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, it has made a tremendous difference to me, because before this, even when I had loudspeakers of good quality attached to the computer, I had difficulty hearing. But with the Connect clip and this little dongle, as they call it, attached to each other, the one in the computer and the Connect clip, by pairing it, it now is like a Bluetooth directly into my ears, and I can hear everything much better than before. And I've actually found that it works with a PC, with a Mac, with a PC desktop, and with a Macintosh, and with laptops of different kinds. So it's really very useful for me.
Thank you.
And also, we use it all the time.
Ruth, put it up to your mouth. Put the mic to your mouth.
We use it all the time. Whenever we go shopping, I put it on, the Connect clip, and it's wonderful because Elkin can hear what I'm saying. And because he's visually impaired, he walks behind me so that I can guide him, and he can hear me at the same time. So it's very useful.
So just like Judy and Dwayne, Ruth and Elkin, do you understand what they're saying? She wears the microphone. He's walking behind her in the store because he's got his stick to help him move, and she can talk and tell him where she is. Even though he visually might not see her, he can talk and she can talk and he can hear her to get directions. So a safety issue for sure. Does that make sense? Questions? Okay, go in the back.
Is there a device on the newest TVs where we can connect it so that we can hear the TVs correctly?
Yep, so there's lots of TV devices that work with the hearing aids as well, and every manufacturer has their own. In fact, with the new smart TVs, the Apple TV, you are going to not need any of the manufacturer's software. Moving forward, I think you'll be able to go direct right into the hearing aid. But right now, you have to have a little box for each manufacturer, or you get your room looped and then use your T-coil, and then it doesn't matter what manufacturer you use of your hearing aid, you'll get that direct input. Tony?
For those people who have hearing aids with a telecoil and do not have the capability of having this direct access, and you want to hear your TV better, I suggest you get a hearing loop that works with your TV, and Rick can provide that for you. So if you're not ready to buy the new technology with the clips and the devices, and you want to go with what you have, I think a hearing loop would be wonderful. How many people in this room have a personal hearing loop that they listen to TV? Is there anybody here that has one? Does anybody want to make a comment about it? Brave enough?
Lois, do you want to talk about it?
Okay, I'm bringing the mic, Lois. Hold on. Just so you know, while I'm on my way over here, I have 3 hearing loops in my...
Well, I couldn't live without my hearing device for the TV.
Pull it closer.
Oh, I couldn't live without my hearing device for the TV. I turn it on and the sound is coming directly into my ear, but there's no sound going out into the room, so it doesn't bother my neighbors.
So what she did is she muted the sound on her TV, so she's getting the input in, but she's not bothering her neighbors around here.
You're the perfect neighbor.
Yeah, you are the perfect neighbor.
Hold on, we got another one here.
I have a transmitter from for the television for my particular hearing aids, and it's wonderful when the mute is on. However, if the mute isn't on, if we're both listening, you get a lot of echo.
So she's saying you get a lot of echo when the mute isn't on. That has improved with the new technology as they've gotten better with that latency. So it kind of depends on the manufacturer that you're utilizing. But that is a comment from the past.
It all sounds wonderful. What would it cost in my home?
So a loop runs in the hundreds of dollars. It starts out, I'll let Rick talk a little bit, but it depends on the size of your room and how much you want to get looped.
Anna's absolutely right. It starts out somewhere between $300, $350, and depending on how many you want to install, it could go up. Just a kind of a quick note. The brand new smart TVs don't have an audio out, and it creates a lot of problems for a lot of people. They do have what is that called? The IR?
Digital optical.
Digital optical out, which I can use. So there's a lot of problems that can occur with the audio not being
So what he's saying is that when you're buying a new television, you want to look on the back of the TV to see if they have audio output. It used to be a standard feature on your TV, but so did having speakers where the sound came out the front, right? Now we buy our TVs based upon the visual aspects, and the sound is actually coming out the sides, down the bottom, or out the back. There are no speakers coming forward with today's TVs, and that is part of the problem. But the audio output is also an issue. So what Rick was saying is instead of the red and white jacks that have audio output, they now have digital optical out. And that does work, but just know the less expensive TVs, the very first thing they take out is the audio output. Lily?
Well, I just love the little thing I bought from you for $125, and I can take it anywhere in my house, and Listen, I'm hoping they're going to come out where you could also see and listen at the same time. But I love this little thing. I can be taking a bath and put it next to me and
Listen to the TV. So what she's talking about, thank you, Lily, that's a great comment. She's talking about the TV sound box.
My TV did have an output. I'm sorry they're going to stop that.
Well, if you have it, you keep going. It's just that you have to look. The less expensive models, like the ones you get at Walmart, you think you're getting a good deal. They are taking some things out that you're not aware of till you want to use them. And one of them is the audio output on a TV. So what she's talking about is the TV sound box, and it's a little box that plugs into your TV, and then we've had it here on display, but you can then carry it around, and you can go 150 feet away and hear the TV right near you. So you put it right near you. It's not going directly into your hearing aids. Yes, sir?
You might explain the one I have where when I'm listening to the television and the phone rings, once I answer the phone, the television cuts off automatically.
So what
and when I hang up the phone, the television comes back on automatically.
So he's talking about he's got an iPhone and his hearing aids are connected to his iPhone, and then he's got a TV box where he's streaming the TV directly into his hearing aids. But if a phone call comes in, the hearing aids know to give the priority to the phone call. So the phone call stops. The hearing aids stop the TV streaming. They pick up the phone call, and then when he hangs up the phone call, the TV streaming resumes. Okay?
Yes, I can give a testimonial for the Phonak. I have it hooked up to the TV, my telephone, iPhone, and it's an Apple setup, and the TV goes off and the telephone rings and everything's automatic, and I travel with it. When I go to a motel or something like that, I can take my attachment with me, and I'm home free.
That's awesome. Yep. So all the manufacturers have their own version of it. And my job is just to encourage you to look at the systems that are out there, because the whole thing that we want to do is improve the signal to noise ratio. So what that little Connect clip is doing is it's taking my voice, which is the signal, and making it louder than the background noise that you're sitting in. And that's how you're improving the signal to noise. One last thing that I kind of want to talk about here is the telephone. This is a phone that is available through the CTAP, the California Telephone Access Program. So for those of you, if you have not gotten something from CTAP, you could request this. Otherwise, the phone runs about $140. But the advantage is that it has the ability to slow down the phone message. So if you were here a couple months ago, Tony showed you how to turn down the video speed on YouTube, right? We showed you that when you're watching a video, you can actually slow down the speech. We're going to do that same thing with a telephone answering machine. So let's see if this works. I'm going to play it the first time at normal speed.
You have one message 1, November 12th, Monday, 1:09 p.m.
Hi, this is Ann from Amazing Hearing calling to let you know you have an appointment, 949-667-9818. Thank you.
Okay, my voice is pretty easy to hear anyway, but now I am going to slow it down as it plays.
You have one message 1, November 12th, Monday, 1:09 p.m.
Hi, this is Ann from Amazing Hearing calling to let you know you have an appointment, 949-667 967-9818. Thank you.
Okay.
And that's funny, but it's so true. We need that.
So what I want you to know is that if somebody was talking more rapidly, like our grandkids did, and we took a phone call that was kind of like this, then when they slowed it down, it would sound a little bit more like this. Okay? I just want you to know that that technology is free from CTAP if you don't already have something. But if you do, we have them on at the office. Again, just trying to let you know life can be easier. There are things out there that can help you.
There's information on the information table regarding California Telephone Access, which is CTAP. If you already have an account with them, if you've ever gotten anything, you still have an account. And so just call them up and see if you can get the new phone with answering machine if you need that.
It's got nice big buttons. It's got a loud volume. It's really a handy phone. And it is a landline phone, yes. The one thing that is in my office for those people are there that come is this saying. I came up with it back in the 80s, and I think it just really kind of hits home. We do not grow old. We become old by not growing, right? The thing is that technology is out there. It seems scary and overwhelming, but it's there to help you, and you need to engage in it, and the more you use it, the better you get at it. And I have a couple people here who could give testimonies how they were hesitant to jump in, but since they've been doing it, it has really changed the quality of their life. So let's just let our lives be full of thanks and giving, and thank you very much for your time.
Wow. So do we have any questions? Any questions for Ann? Okay. Okay. A gift for Ann. Surprise! Just can't thank you enough. She's a wonderful advisor for the club, and we appreciate. Thank you.
And I just want to say, take your little bags home. They have just little tchotchkes in them. The one thing that says Ultimate Hearing, that's our old name. We are now Amazing Hearing, but that's a battery holder. For those of you that don't know, you push the edge of it, and it opens up and holds 2 batteries. Okay? Have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you.